All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of Daily December 2021. This is day 28, and today we're going to do something just weird. And by weird, I mean something that I enjoy doing, and I don't know too many other people, or I don't know a ton of other people that do this often, but I did and I years and years and years ago, I used to do this just constantly, and that is we are going to build a fourth edition D&D character. A long time ago, in the before times, there used to be this thing called D&D Insider, which was a thing you paid like $10 a month for it, and you got access to literally the entirety of everything published for fourth edition to the D&D. So for $10 a month, you got everything, and it was super awesome and amazing. D&D Insider doesn't exist anymore, but they had an offline character builder that I happened to find. I will not mention where I found it. If you are sleuthy enough, you might be able to find it yourself. But suffice it to say, it exists. And that's what we're going to do today. Is I'm just gonna. I've mentioned many times before. I loved fourth edition D&D. Fourth edition D&D did so many things really well. There are a few things that it didn't do great, like the complexity for complexity's sake thing that I harp on all the time. Fourth edition had it. It wasn't nearly as bad as third edition or Pathfinder, or anywhere near as bad as Pathfinder to 2E, but it did have some of that. However, just the sheer kind of spectacle, like the thing about fourth edition compared to any other version of the D&D is fourth edition was a spectacle. Everything in fourth edition was dialed up to a little 11. Bigger numbers, more dice that you use, just everything was super fun and explosive. And the thing that fourth edition did absolutely the best, that it did even better than fifth edition, was there's been this issue with D&D since its inception, and fourth edition had the best solution to it, and that is melee classes or martial classes increase on a linear scale, meaning every level they just get better and better and better on a very predictable scale. Spellcasters increase on an exponential scale. So an exponential curve, if you're unaware with how geometry works, an exponential curve means like a linear equation is y equals x. That's a linear equation, and it's on a graph. It's a straight line. Okay, and if these are your axes here, 0, 0, 1, 1, or 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. It's very easy to plot. As you start changing the things, you can change where it is. But if the basis of the equation is y equals x, it might be y equals 2x plus 7. It's still going to be a line. And the only thing you're changing is the slope of the line. But it's still going to be a straight line. When you start going into different things, you can go like quadratic equations are equations where it is y equals x squared to the second power, and that forms what's called a parabola, which is a curved thing. It looks like a U basically, and the vertex, the center of it, is on 0, 0. And again, if you change things around, you can change the slope and everything like that. And as you get into higher powers, you get different curves, like y equals x cubed is actually this weird kind of It goes up, down, up like that, and it's a weird curve. Anyway, when you start getting into exponential equations, that is y equals number to the x power. And the way that those work is it starts out almost horizontal, and it gets very, very slowly, and then eventually it goes really, really fast, really far up. And so describing something as exponential growth means it starts out very, very slow and minor, and then it eventually gets, the growth becomes very, very fast. And that's how wizards and spellcasters in general in D&D since the beginning have always worked. Low-level wizards or low-level spellcasters in D&D, every single edition except for 4th edition, are mostly pointless. They'll have maybe 1 or 2 spells they can cast per day, and when they're not doing that, there's nothing they can do. They just sit in the back and wait to become useful again after a long rest. However, when you get to level 10 or level 15 or level to 20, they become the single most powerful characters on the board. They can kill entire groups of enemies with a single spell. They literally will make or break your group. The thing with playing a spellcaster is you have to survive long enough to get to the point where you're massively overpowered. So 4th edition fixed that by basically giving every character powers, and we'll see how they work in a second here. Let's go into this and let's build a character. So this is a character builder. Like I said, I love this. I think it is super fun. This is my favorite character builder ever. D&D Beyond has a great character builder for 5th edition. This one, I love everything about it. So we're going to create a new thing. I was looking at another one. Yeah, I don't care about that. So we're going to create a new one. So these are all the different classes you have access to. And again, this is literally everything from 4th edition. I'm not going to say where it comes from, but this is literally every class in the game. You'll notice that they're grouped into different things. You have this stuff up here, binder through war priest. Anything you see essentials on, those are what are called essentials players. That was basically D&D 4.5. People were starting to get annoyed with just how many different abilities and powers that you would get, especially when you got to higher levels. So the essentials line was designed to be much more simplistic. You generally would only get one, or you would basically get 1 or 2 at-will powers. You would get 1 encounter power, and you would get 1 daily power, and they would just get more and more powerful as you leveled up, but you wouldn't have to make all these choices and things like that. So the essentials line of characters are significantly more simple to run and play. And they also tended to not be very useful when you started getting into the Paragon tier and the Epic tiers. D&D for 4th edition was broken up into 3 different tiers of play. You had the Adventures tier, which was levels 1 to 10. You had the Paragon tier, which was 11 to 20. And then you had the Epic tier, which was 21 to 30. And as you got higher and higher, the Essentials characters just would feel vastly inferior to the other regular characters. But most games of D&D 4th edition never really got past the Adventures tier. Level 1 to 10 was generally where most people played. Paragon tier, you might get up to level 12 or 13, but that was it. So I'm going to ignore the Essentials characters because they're just not as much fun to mess around with. And that's the whole point of this, is we're going to just do something weird. But as you can see, some of the cool things like the Bladesinger. Bladesinger was the first class I ever built. It was interesting and fun. You have other things like the Hexblade is in here. Trying to see what I don't know if there's really a good place for it. Yeah, I think this corner is going to be the best place for me to put my thing. This Slayer was another one. You'll see roll Roles were just something that helped you understand kind of the things that you were expected to do as the class. You had strikers, you had leaders, which were your healers, you had controllers, which I really, really loved, and then you had defenders, which are your tanks. That was the role system was one of the reasons why people claimed that fourth edition was just an MMO on a tabletop, and it 100% was not. The role system has always existed in the Dungeons and Dragons. If you go back to the earliest versions of it, your standard party was a fighter, a wizard, a rogue, and a cleric. And they filled your four roles. Your fighter could take damage. Your wizard would deal damage in large areas and would do all the magic stuff. Your rogue would do a lot of damage to a single target, and your cleric would keep everyone alive. It's always existed in the Dungeons and Dragons. 4th edition just made it, or just labeled it. So that being said, there are 3 different players' handbooks, and they all had did different stuff. As you can see, my personal favorite, the monk, was a really weird class in 4th edition, and we're not going to build a monk. They did have this thing called hybrid classes. Hybrid classes were super, super fun, where you basically merged a couple different classes. You could create some massively broken stuff using hybrid classes, but they didn't come out until Player's Handbook 3. And then all this stuff down here. Yeah, you guys can't see. All this stuff down here were classes and stuff that were added in different things. The heroes lines, if I remember correctly, the heroes were part of the essentials line, so they were a little bit more simplistic. But you got some weird things, like the berserker was both a defender and a striker, and depending on how you built them, they could go either way. Or the protector was a controller that was everything had a power source. Primal was your nature style powers. The share was an arcane controller that was really weird. Scald was a version of the bard. Protector, I think protector, it might have just been one of the generic, striker, defender, and stuff like that were just generic stuff. You have a witch. Sword mage was the first class that I ever played on for a campaign, and I loved my sword mage. They were super, super fun. So let's pick something. Avenger is fun, but I've shown you guys an Avenger before. Invoker is actually what, if I remember correctly, I think Dale is currently playing in a 4th edition campaign DM'd by I can't remember his name now. I've argued with him. I've had one-sided arguments that he has no idea about. I can't remember his name right now. But anyway, Dale Kingsmill is playing an Invoker, which is a divine controller, which is a cool one. Druids are primal controllers. What's a cool class? As you can see, there are some weird essentials class, like the vampire class. You could play a vampire. It wasn't just a race, it was a class. I liked the Warlord. The Warlord was the Warlord was a leader, so it was a healer, but it was a strength-based healer. It was such a cool class. And a really well-played Warlord could turn the tide of a battle, because they just did so many cool things. So let's build a Warlord. We're going to make a Warlord. Now you can see they have builds which would choose your skills and at-will powers and your stuff for you. I'm not going to use a build. I'm going to do my own thing. And then there was... you did need to choose a specific thing. So when you choose it, you can see this is like all the stuff. That's what the Warlord looks like. And see, these are the builds that you could have. but you did need to choose class features. So if you wanted standard, there's two basically flavors of a Warlord. You have the Archer Warlord, which was meant to be a ranged one, or your standard. I'm going to go standard. I'm going to do that. And then you get to pick a version of Commanding Presence, which is going to be your kind of a thing. So I think we need to choose a leader thing. So actually replaces your combat leader class feature. So this is your normal class feature, which is you and each ally within 10 squares who can see or hear you, getting +2 power bonus to initiative. That was another thing that some people really didn't like, is they made everything in squares instead of feet or anything. They did mention that a single square was 5 feet, so 10 squares was 50 feet. So it was really, really simple. But the reason that they did that was 3rd edition effectively required you to play on using miniatures. As much as people say, well, no, you can play 3rd edition in Theater of the Mind. Theoretically, yes, but the sheer number of things that you had to keep track of in your head made it almost impossible if you were using all of the different like flanking rules and other things like that. It was almost impossible to run. So 4th edition, since most people were playing that way, 4th edition just stopped pretending that it wasn't. I have played 4th edition in Theater of the Mind. It is possible. It's just more difficult than other systems because it is designed to be played with minis in that. And Wizards of the Coast started selling minis and the things like that to kind of capitalize on it. So this is like your default version. So you have to either choose Combat Leader, which is the default, or you can choose one of these other two ones, which this one is Insight and Perception. You get a bonus to Insight and Perception checks, plus everyone else does it. That was a thing with the Warlord, is they just improved everybody else. And then this, I think I'm going to go with the standards. I'm going to choose that. And then the next thing I need to do is choose my Commanding Presence. So these are the different presences you could have. That was your other kind of thing for being a Warlord. So this, when an ally spends an action point, you guys can't read this because my thing is in the wrong spot. I'm going to try, oops, that's not what I wanted. No. I'm going to try moving this down here so you guys can read stuff. So, when an ally who you can see spends an action point to take an extra action and uses the action to make an attack, the ally can choose to take advantage of this feature before the attack roll. If the ally chooses to do so and the attack hits, the ally can either make a basic attack or take a move action after the attack as a free action. If it misses, the ally grants combat advantage to all enemies until the end of his or next turn. So the presence was basically something that you could use in addition, like the kind of two default ones that you could, the choices that you had in the player's handbook were inspiring and tactical. Inspiring was basically when an ally used an action point, which was a 4th edition thing, it basically was action surge, but every character got it. And you would actually earn more action points as you did more combats. I think it was every other combat. So on your 3rd combat, you would gain another action point that you could use. So anyway, when an ally who you can see spends an action point to take an extra action, that ally also regains hit points equal to 1/2 your level plus your charisma modifier. If the ally can see multiple Warlord allies who have this class feature, the ally regains hit points from only one of them. So if you had multiple Warlords, you couldn't like stack this. But this basically meant whenever you spent an action point, you would get extra hit points. So you could heal yourself by using an action point. Tactical Presence was they get a bonus to the first attack roll of that attack. So so this was based on intelligence, whereas inspiring was based on your charisma. That was another thing that generally you would have a primary attribute and then at least one secondary attribute. And when you chose your build, you do that. So those are the two kind of standard ones. And then as more things came out, Martial Power was a supplement book. So this, when they spend an action point, if they make an attack, the attack gets a bonus to damage, which equals a half your level plus your intelligence. And if they don't hit, they get temporary hit points. Then you had skirmishing. They can shift. Shifting was basically moving without provoking opportunity attacks. So this just let them move a little bit more. Baruva, that's the one we talked about before. They basically get an extra attack, but if they miss, they grant combat advantage, and then they get a bonus to auto defenses. I like this one where they get an extra attack, so that's what I'm going to choose. All right, so those are the choices that we made just after choosing the class. Now we get to do more stuff. We get to choose our race. As you can see, these are the Player's Handbook races, Handbook 2, Handbook 3, and then all the other races. There were so many cool races. If I'm going to be a commander, generally going to want to pick someone that, all these, like we'll go with Dwarf here. To just you, it'll give you a bonus to Constitution, and then you get a choice between Strength or Wisdom. That's how most classes will work. Is they will give you a definite one, Intelligence, and then it'll also give you a choice between two others. So you'll always get Intelligence, and then you can choose between Charisma or Dexterity. We're going to got one that's going to give Strength. And then Strength and Intelligence would be the best, I think. Either Strength or Intelligence or Strength and Charisma. No, not a Deva. It gives Strength, Wisdom, Dex Wiz. Minotaur, did that do? Nope. Shard Mind. Wilden. Giz. Bladelings were cool. Bugbear. You see there's a Bugbear. Dex and Strength. I don't think changing would do it. Charisma. Nope. Bullywug, Bugbear, Genasi. Yeah, we can totally do Genasi. Alright, so we're gonna go Genasi. We're gonna be a Genasi. Because that'll give me intelligence, and then I can also do strength. So that's what we're gonna do. And you get to there's so many cool things about Genasi in 4th edition. So we're going to choose Genasi. And now we get to pick what flavor of Genasi we are, which I love. So in 4th edition, your different flavor of Genasi is based on a soul. And you can see you had your standard ones. You had Earth Soul, Fire Soul, Storm Soul, Water Soul, Wind Soul. Those are the ones that were kind of, your Air Genasi, your Fire Genasi, Earth Genasi. But then you also had other ones like Ember Soul, which was kind of a blend of fire and air because you were kind of, an ash, but based on her Cinder Soul. This is a really cool one. All right, so for Cinder Soul, you are a kind of fire-based, you're a Cinder Genasi. Which actually came from Dragon Magazine. You resist 5 fire, which meant anytime, the way resistance worked in 4th edition, anytime I would take fire did a damage, if I would resist 5 fire, I would subtract 5 from the damage. So if somebody hit me for 20 fire damage, I would only take 15. And then you also get this Fire Death. Red, all the powers were color coded. Green were at will. You could use them as many times as you want. Red were encounters. You could use them once per encounter, and you needed to take a 5-minute rest to regain them. And then gray were dailies. And those you could only use once per day. So the Fire Death, if I take damage, all damage dice rolled for the triggering attack are considered to have a result of 1. That is a super cool ability. I like the idea of a Fire Genasi Warlord. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go Cinder Soul. And we got that. Now we get to go. Backgrounds were optional in 4th edition. We're not going to do... Dark Sun had special rules for doing characters in Dark Sun because Dark Sun was super, super hard. It was really, really difficult to play, and so you got some extra stuff so you didn't always die. I'm not going to do a background. The backgrounds could be super, super broken. But they could give you additional... Well, I'll give you an example. If I go Forgotten Realms background, these are all the different Forgotten Realms backgrounds that exist. So if I wanted to say I was a Brash duelist, this actually didn't give me anything weird, did it? Oh, so you can see some of the backgrounds would go, you can reroll any nature check, we just keep that. Or I'm trying to see, there was one that was super broken, but I don't think it's in Forgotten Realms. Anyway, so I'm not going to have a background, just because that starts getting a little bit weird. But let's go ahead and go. So now ability scores. This was one of the things I liked about it, because if you didn't understand the class of the character or anything like that, you could just hit auto pick and it would do everything for you. So see this, it gave me strength and intelligence. Strength is going to be my biggest thing, so it gave me a 20 there. Intelligence is going to be my second biggest thing. And then I really don't care about combat, so it gave me a really, really powerful, but someone that's going to kind of drop pretty quickly, and I'm kind of dumb. Or I'm very intelligent, I'm just not very wise. And then a little bit of there. So that's easy. You can roll dice using this. I don't like rolling dice. I never have. But this is a pretty good one. So I'm just going to do that. So we'll go next. We get to choose 4 skills. The ones that you can see black here are the ones that I can actually choose. So I'm definitely going to go with athletics because I'm strength-based. I might as well go with endurance because endurance was actually useful. Endurance are kind of what your constitution saves are in 5th edition. You would do endurance checks for things like that. I might as well do intimidation just because it's fun. And then... Actually, no. For intimidate, I'm going to untrain that. I'm going to go diplomacy because I like diplomacy a little bit better. And then, yeah, sure, let's go history to get intelligence. So I've got all my trained skills, which just meant that you added a +5 to them. So you could actually still roll skills that you weren't trained in without too much difficulty. So, and now we have to go with powers. So, whenever you built a character in 4th edition, you would start by choosing 2 at-will powers, 1 encounter power, and 1 daily power. You will see, it tells you where they're from. The player's handbook gave you effectively 4 different at-will powers that you could choose from. This is where things got really, really fun in 4th edition, because depending on the powers that you chose, you could have 2 warlords in the same party that were vastly different. So let's see some of the stuff. Let's start with like the player's handbook stuff. So Commander Strike. So this is an at-will ability. That was a standard action. You had 3 different kinds of actions in 4th edition. You had a standard action, a minor action, and a move action. Very similar to 5th edition where you had an action, a bonus action, and a move. Same basic thing. So this is my standard action. One of your allies can take a free action to make a melee basic attack against the target. The ally gains a bonus to the damage roll equal to your intelligence modifier. So as my at-will ability, I could just give an attack to someone else. So that was the thing that the Warlord did, is the Warlord would sit back and let everyone else do stuff. And by choosing the right person to make the attack, you could just do crazy, insane damage and stuff by that, like that, because you could just have them do stuff. So that was one thing you could do. You had Furious Smash here, which is an actual attack. So it was strength versus fortitude. So it would be my strength versus their fortitude defense. And then if I hit, all I did was strength modifier damage plus whatever your weapon would be. And then choose an ally adjacent to you or the target. The ally gains a bonus to the next attack roll and damage roll that she or she makes against the target based on your charisma modifier, which I don't have a charisma modifier. So if I wanted to be this kind of warlord, I would want to have a high charisma and ignore the intelligence. So I'm not going to use that one. We go Viper's Strike. That one actually didn't. All it did was strength mod damage. This one will actually use a weapon. So this one effectively, if I hit them and they try to shift, which is a shift was basically you'd use your movement action to move only a single square, but you wouldn't provoke opportunity attacks. And as you saw before, there's other abilities that'll let you shift more than that, but a shift is just something that doesn't provoke an opportunity, effectively disengaging in 5th edition. This, if a target shifts before the start of your next turn, it provokes an opportunity attack from an ally of your choice. So, by using this attack, if the target was to shift, I could have one of my buddies hit them. Despite the fact that they shifted. So that, again, was a very tactical thing to do. And then Wolfpack Tactics. And this one, again, is just a standard attack. So before the attack, an ally adjacent to you or the target can shift 1 square as a free action. So this is something that would allow me to kind of position my allies. So those are the 4 kind of basic ones. And then we started getting all these additional stuff. So Brash Assault. The target can make... The target makes the attack an ally of its choice within 5 squares. The target make a basic attack against the target as a free action as combat advantage. So, Brash Assault, effectively, I would hit them, and then they would have the option of attacking me back. But if they did, one of my allies could attack as well. So this is very similar to Commander's Strike, but instead of it just being... just being a melee basic attack, this one can make any kind of basic attack against them. So I would get to attack, plus someone else would get to attack. I just would have to run the risk of them attacking me as well. So that's kind of interesting. Distract Strike. This, I just pick an ally. They make a basic attack as a free action against an enemy of your choice that you can see and is within 10 squares of you. So this one's kind of similar to Commander's Strike. They just don't get the bonus to it. So Furious, this is Smash. That one we already saw. Inevitable Wave. To the end of your turn, any ally who charges the target deals... Charging was... mechanic where you would move and make an attack. Basically, you get to double move and then make an attack at the end. That's kind of cool. Intuitive. This is Strike. That one just gives them combat advantage. If I remember correctly, combat advantage is a flat +2 to your attack rolls. Check 1 square. So I'm just going through these real quick to figure out which one I want. I definitely want Commander's Strike, I think. So the start of next turn, allies gain a power bonus to damage rolls. Risky Shot. That's a ranged weapon, which I didn't build a ranged one. And I'm not using Charisma, so that doesn't matter. So, let's do Commander's Strike as my first power, because I really like that one. And then... And I like opening shove. All right, now we go to encounter powers. These are ones that you use once per encounter. Generally means you're using your encounter powers. However many you have, you generally as you level up, you'll generally have between about like 2 and 4, depending on your class. As you can see, there's tons of different other things. I'm just going to... So again, everything you're going to see with... you'll see 2W, it means 2 weapons. So like if you're using a longsword, let's say, it's a D8 normally. So if you hit with this, you would go 2D8 plus strength mod for damage. So, and then all the Warlord stuff just gives your allies extra stuff. So, what about this? So this one, if I was to combine this with if we look at Commander's Strike, so this they can only make a melee basic attack, which is a very specific kind of thing. If I go to here and I do Overwhelming Force Trap, they can use any at-will attack power instead of just a melee basic attack. A melee basic attack is just that. It's like your standard attack roll. Most classes don't do a ton of melee basic attack because your powers are always going to be better. So this would allow me, once per encounter, when I do Commanding Shout, to let them use a at-will attack power instead of just a basic attack. Which is super nice. So I'm definitely going to do that. And this is one of my... I get to choose my daily... For example, lead the attack. That's kind of cool. So this one, I do 3 weapon damage plus strength, and then until the end of my next turn, you and every ally within 5 squares of you, so within 25 feet, gain a power bonus to attack rolls against a target equal to 1. So everyone just gets to do extra damage. White Raven Onslaught sounds cool. So, and again, if I remember correctly, the Warlord is a leader. So this is a healing character. This is a healer that gets all these cool things. This is one of the reasons I loved 4th edition, because this is your healer and they get to do all this cool stuff. This is really nice. So 3 weapon strength mod, and then each ally within 5 squares you gains a +1 power bonus to all defenses until the end of the encounter. And then each ally within 5 squares you get temp hit points equal to 5 plus charisma. I don't have charisma. So maybe that's not the greatest, but you know what? I like it anyway. Despite the fact that I don't have a charisma modifier, I like the +1 power bonus to defenses, so I'm going to choose that. It's not the most optimized thing ever, but it's still pretty good. So now I get to choose a feat. So you will have racial feats, you will have class feats, and then you have, these are the heroic, that sort of was heroic tier, not adventure tier, heroic tier. These are your kind of general feats. Normally in your first level, you're going to choose either a racial or a class feat. A lot of times you'll want to use a class feat on your first level. So, Inspiring Word is their healing ability. So, anything that says Inspiring Word power is going to improve my thing. When you use Inspiring Word, you're going to take advantage of this feat. Target does, he or she grants combat advantage until the start of your next turn, but deals extra damage. Attack. Whenever you spend an action point to make an action, enemy gets combat advantage. So, nope. When you use blah blah, the ally gets either plus bonus to attack roll or plus bonus to speed. Speed is was how far you can move. Improved Inspiring Word, add charisma modifier to the hit points. Starting to think I should have gone charisma instead of intelligence, but who cares? Target of your Inspire word gains additional points equal to your strength mod if adjacent to an enemy you have hit during this turn. I like that. Any ally who gets your combat leader class feature until the end of his or so, you start with an extra 2 AC, which is nice. When using Spyware, you can forgo any extra dice of healing granted by the power and instead grant the target a saving throw. That's nice as well. I think just for simplicity, I'm gonna go ahead and choose that one. So we're done that. We get to buy equipment. So I'm just going to get, these are the different weapons that I can use. Different ones will have different bonuses to your proficiency, which just means your attack rolls. So a +3 would be that. This is a flail. It's a weird flail. I think from Dark Sun, yeah. I think that's a Dark Sun as well. Club, crossbow, Dejada is another Dark Sun weapon. Falcon, flail. I like flails. I like the idea of, or it could go, yeah, I think I'm going to go with a flail. So I'm going to go ahead and buy a flail. As you can see, it's got my starting money there. I need armor. Oh, adventuring gears. Always adventurers kit. Always buy an adventurers kit. It gives you a bunch of stuff that's just really useful. It's backpack, bedroll, flint and steel, belt pouch, 2 sun rods, which is flares effectively, 10 days worth of rations, 50 feet of hempen rope, and a water skin. Always buy that. It's always useful. So I can use shields. Leather armor, hide armor, chainmail. I think I'm going to go chainmail because I can. I got $35 left. I think I'm going to go with a light shield because I can't use a heavy one. There. And I think that's really all I need for this character. So go next. Name. What are we going to name this dude? Let's call him, he's Genasi. He's a fire Genasi. Let's call him Flamio. Flamio! Dude. These were the alignments that you had. 4th edition had weird alignment stuff. I'm just going to call him good. Deity. He's not going to do a deity. But he's going to be 6 foot 2 inches. He's going to be 180 pounds. Because I don't weigh anywhere near that. And let's make him 27. It's a nice one. So, effectively, that is the character. Now, I should be able to portrait. Okay. So they have a bunch of, do I not have? Oh, there we go. I've got portraits here. Theoretically, you can do any portrait you want. They have, these are the class portraits. Dwarf. Let's see if I've got EF. Let's see if they have a Genasi. There we go. We'll go Fire Genasi. That's what my dude looks like. There we go. So we got details. So this is the Kika character. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my Kika character sheet. Which I think I should be able to show you guys. Do this and then... There we go. All right. We're going to go zoom. Yeah, it makes it much easier. Oh, I'm going to adjust this. Oops, undo that. You guys can't see it because it's on my my big monitor, which is a 4K monitor. so I just have to readjust stuff. Okay, so this is my character sheet. This is the boring stuff. So this is your melee basic attack stuff, which is boring. But if you're ever to do that, this is all, you know. So your basic attacks with a flail, it's 1d10 plus 5. It's really, you know, simple. But the fun stuff. So when I go, so here are the actual things. This was super cool. This had all the stuff that you needed. Like these two cards here had all the stuff that you needed to know to basically play. Like this is all your different defenses. These are all your ability scores, your hit points, your speed, your initiative. It's all right there. That was your action point card. We can high bull rush. Those are just generic things that you could do. You didn't really need them. Second wind was something you could use once per encounter. You have to spend a healing surge and get your hit points. So here's that melee. There's your here's my 2 at will powers, and it does all the calculations for me. So you can see for opening shove, it's 7 plus 7 versus reflex. I just realized I don't actually have an actual attack for this character. It's just a commanding strike and opening shove. So that's kind of cool. So there's the fire death. Here's inspiring word. This is how I would heal. And this one's unique. It's an encounter power, but you can use it twice per encounter, and this is how you heal things. But only once per round. At 16th level, you can use it 3 times. And as you can see, they spend a healing surge. How much you healed was based on your healing surge value, which was different for every character. So that was useful. And then they also got an additional D6 because I was a leader. There's my overwhelming force trap. I don't know why I have 2 second wind cards. When I don't need them, I can just hide that one. Here's my second wind, and then there's my thing. So this was my character, and you could print it out. And this is what I used to bring when I would go to D&D Encounters, which is the program, which is what the program was called way back then. This is what I would bring to D&D Encounters. Is I would print this off and I'd take it to Encounters. And in general, as much as I had all these different things, I almost only ever used this. Like I used this. You could print out and cut out your cards if you wanted. I just had the sheets here, and so that would give me everything I needed. So yeah. So yeah. Let's close that down. Get rid of that. We can put this back here. So that is that's 4th edition. Like I said, this is a super cool, fun character. As you level them up. Maybe tomorrow, just for shits and giggles, I'll level them up to 11 so we can pick an epic destiny, and then eventually also do we'll just make a max level character just to show you how crazy and just over the top these characters can get. Because this, again, all the stuff that I just did there, that is a level 1 character that can do all these cool things. When you get to the higher levels, you just get more and more awesome stuff you can do. 4th edition is by far, in my personal opinion, 4th edition is by far the most fun to watch played, because they just have cool stuff that they get to do all the time. Yeah, it was super fun. I miss 4th edition. I'm slowly trying to get, because you can get literally every single 4th edition book you can get on the DM's Guild. They have all of them there now. So I'm slowly trying to build up a collection of the PDFs effectively of the entirety of 4th edition. I do have a 4th edition player's handbook. I think I've got it. Yeah, you can't see it too well. But that's Player's Handbook 2, I think, or maybe the original Player's Handbook. So I do have some physical 4th edition, and then the thing in the lower left corner, that's actually the Madness of Gardmore Abbey. That was the last 4th edition adventure that they published, and I love it. It was all about The deck of many things, actually. That's where I have a physical deck of many things. I don't know. It's in a box somewhere, I think, when we moved, so I don't know where it is right now, but it does still exist. I made sure to bring it, but anyway, that's going to be all for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing just how cool 4th edition was. I hate the fact that so many people shit on it because it was a great system. It really, really was. And it's not a perfect system. I still prefer 5th edition for running and everything, because 5th edition is just so streamlined. It's so simple. It's so much fun to play. But damn if 4th edition isn't just a blast. One-shots in 4th edition are super cool. Anyway, that's all for me today. I'll see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.